Good afternoon, everyone. How is your day going? It is noon, and I hope you guys are making a better use of your day. This is Monday, I believe the second week of April, if I'm not mistaken. I can see from my attendance list a couple of names that I am personally familiar with. You guys are welcome once again. And even as we wait for more people to come in, I just want to say a shout out to those that are on break, those in the office, those working at home. How has it been? Hope everything is moving on smoothly. Well, let's start. Good afternoon once again and welcome. For those of you guys that are joining us for the first time, my name is Gabriel Esahaya, and I'm the training coordinator with the Temple Small Business Development Center. The Temple Small Business Development Center helps small businesses start and grow. We offer free one-on-one consulting and a variety of low to low-cost webinars. We are proud to be part of the nationally accredited network of the Small Business Development Centers, which has over 1,000 networks across the United States. You are here this afternoon for a webinar on Google Search ADS for small businesses. A copy of the PowerPoint and a link to the recording will be sent to all the attendees. Being a webinar, all the attendees have been muted. However, we always encourage you guys to drop your questions on the Q&A or the chat box. Today is indeed a good day because we have a wonderful speaker. This is actually my first time of moderating an event for him. Without further ado, please allow me to welcome Mr. Zack, even as he takes over the floor for the presentation. Mr. Zack, you are welcome.
Thank you, Garba. Thank you very much. And everyone, it's really good to be here with you today. Thank you for joining actually, this is the first of 3 sessions that we'll be doing about how small businesses can benefit from Google search. And today's part 1, and it's about Google's advertising platform. We're going to be talking about Google Ads. There's me, just saying hi again. So the agenda for today, we will talk briefly just about digital marketing in general, this digital ecosystem and Google's role in that. Then we'll talk about how we can get certified in Google Ad search. Then we'll get into the platform itself. We'll talk about campaign types, the marketing funnel, account structure in Google Ads. We'll talk about text ads, including something called responsive search ads, which in 2022 are becoming our only option for text ads. And we'll talk about the metrics then for Google Ad success, impressions, clicks, and conversions. And then we'll move into talking about how that sets us up for automated bidding versus manual bidding, the options that we have when we're actually deciding how much money we're going to give to Google and bid on our keywords. And then we'll talk about match types briefly, and a trend that's actually started in 2021 and continues in 2022, less precise match types with our keywords than we used to have. And at the end, we'll wrap up with some questions. And because we're covering so much ground, we've got links in here to some video training resources. So if any of these things you're like, ooh, that's interesting, I really wish I knew a little bit more, there are 6 different videos that are linked here. And then in the appendix, there are actual URLs to click through to watch those videos if, say, you want to go deeper in learning about how to set up your automated bidding, for example, in a campaign. So I was trying to think about, like, why is this worth an hour of your time for the 23 of us that are on here? So I hope if you're someone who you just want to get started with Google Ads, this is going to give you an overview of the Google ecosystem. It'll give you useful instructions on where you can go to begin the certification process if you want to get certified in Google Ads search. It will give you an introduction to the Google Ads account hierarchy, how this whole platform works together. If you have some experience with Google Ads, hopefully a new way to think about some different campaign types based on different marketing goals, links to video walkthroughs, as I mentioned, for constructing ad extensions and creating new campaigns. And if you have a lot of experience with Google Ads and want to go a little bit deeper, we'll talk about what automated bidding strategies can make you money and your business money, and which ones might just be helpful in giving Google a lot of your money. So to get started, digital marketing, right? It's like such a big subject. We've got like social media here in the corner, web development. local SEO, search advertising, on-site and technical search engine optimization, analytics and CRO or conversion rate optimization, and marketing automation. All of these things are digital marketing. And in the middle of much of it is Google. And what we're talking about today is not just everything on the left side, which is search, but specifically paid search advertising, right where that green arrow is. And if you come back on May 23rd, that's when we're going to be talking more about on-site SEO from 12 to 1. So a quick plug for that. All right, so Google, or the parent company of Google, Alphabet, I was looking this morning at $1.8 trillion market capitalization. So one of the most valuable companies in the world. In 2021, Alphabet had $257.6 billion, which was up 41% over the year prior. And when we think about Alphabet, it's not just Google. They've got a self-driving car initiative. They have some health initiatives. They have other companies within their portfolio, but 209 billion of that $257 billion, 81% of it does come from advertising. So really, most of Alphabet is Google, and most of Google's advertising is this platform we're talking about today, Google Ads, which used to be called Google AdWords. Now it's just called Google Ads. It's the paid Google advertising platform for search, display, video advertising, shopping ads, and those retargeting ads. And we can see over the years how Google's revenue has grown. This chart cuts off at 2018, but obviously it has continued to grow since then. And as people continue to use the internet to find answers to questions that they have to conduct shopping, Google continues to be a primary beneficiary of that because Google controls so much of what we do on the internet. When we think about what Google's up to, what does Google want? Think about what are search engines trying to do? How do we orient ourselves if we're going to use this advertising platform? So search engines like Google and some others, but again, Google is what we're talking about most today. They're constantly on the lookout on the internet for content that is relevant, authoritative, and helpful in answering questions from people like you and me. So why? Why are search engines do they care so desperately about customer service? Why do they want to give us good answers to our questions? Well, it's because Google makes so much of their money from advertising. Since over 80% of Google revenue comes from advertising, Google is highly invested in you and me having a great experience when we use Google search. That way we continue to stay in the platform. We continue to be people who are eligible to click on those paid search results and generate revenue for Google and not go over to Bing or DuckDuckGo. So what it means for us when we think about advertising on the Google Ads platform, or whether we're talking about SEO, which we're not today, but in both of those things, we will get the best results if we're thinking and trying to align our motivations to Google. And that's primarily providing a great user experience. So a great user experience can be like a really helpful, well-constructed ad that goes to a nice landing page that loads quickly. Those kinds of things are aligned with what Google wants, and that's how we can generally perform best. So before we go too much further and get actually into the platform, Garba, would you mind, can you put up that Zoom poll? Got a quick Zoom poll for us here.
Yes, please.
Awesome.
I just launched it.
Thank you. So first question, the first two, you and your business, you are using Google Ads today. If you're answering the first one, you're using it and you're confident you're using it well. Second one, you're using it, but not so confident you're using it well. Third option, you're not using Google Ads today, but you're interested in learning more so you can personally use it yourself. And option 4, not using it today, but interested in learning more so you can have more knowledge to maybe oversee an agency or a freelancer or an employee at your company. All right. So,
I will end in the pool in the next, 30 seconds.
oh, okay. Awesome.
Okay, there we go. Here comes my answer.
All right. So most of us there are in the third bucket, not using Google Ads today, but interested to be able to use it yourself. The second most popular answer, your business is using Google Ads, but you don't necessarily feel like you have the most experience. And then we've got, it looks like maybe one or two people in the fourth answer, not using Google Ads, but interested in learning more. So you can oversee an employee or a freelancer or an agency. Perfect. That's really helpful for me. All right, so for those of you who want to learn Google Ads yourself, this is something that this might be helpful. So we'll briefly talk about how you can get certified in Google Ads search. You see these people all the time on LinkedIn. If you connect with me on LinkedIn, by the way, you'll probably see, Google Ads search certified, right? And you can be that same way if you want. So the way to do that, you go to skillshop.withgoogle.com. You will need a Gmail or Google linked email address. You can see there's mine right there, Root and Branch Digital Marketing. You use that to log in, and then you'll have this this option to find and search for the fundamentals of Google Ads search. And after you take this 9-module class, you will be able to take a test, and if you get an 80% on the test, you pass. We've got these 9 individual modules here. I'll just briefly show you guys what that will look like. So for anybody who wants to do this, you'll know what you're getting into. And then again, passing the assessment at the end. Here's your 9 modules. So the first one, grow your business with Google Ads. You'll click into that and Google will say, we want you to get to know Google Ads. That'll take about 4 minutes. We want you to support your business goals with Google Ads. That'll take 9 minutes, and then a little check. When you say, for example, click into this first module, get to know Google Ads, Google will say, to help you grow your business, Google Ads is built around 3 principles: relevance, control, and results. So some of this, the stuff you'll learn is kind of this, like Google propaganda a little bit, relevance, control, and results, which may be a test result or a test question you see on the certification exam. And some of it's going to be very practical, where to click to do certain things. So if that sounds interesting to you, I would highly recommend you do that. And then you can take this search assessment. And once you pass, you'll get this little certificate. Now, for a little bit more information, if you're interested, this is the first of 6 YouTube videos. I'll put links again at the bottom, at the end of this deck, but you can see there's one here, how to get certified in Google Ad Search. I teach a class at the University of Pittsburgh in Google Ad Search and SEO, and we use the actual fundamentals of this, like Google Ads training, as part of the curriculum for the course. So I would say it's really, I would vouch for it. It's good training. So you want to build a Google Ads campaign. We're going to talk about some big principles here. The campaign types that we can run in Google Ads. We'll talk about the marketing funnel. We'll talk about the search account structure and the text ads. So let's say you've got a Google Ads account. You passed your search exam and you want to build a campaign. You go to ads.google.com. That's where Google Ads lives, and hit a button, a blue plus button, to build a new campaign. Google's going to say, great, what kind of campaign do you want to build? Do you want to build a search campaign? So the search ads being the ads that show up on the Google search engine results page, kind of the original advertising campaign type, and still the largest and most revenue for Google. Or do you want to build a display campaign? A display campaign that would allow you to run those digital banner ads that might show up on, ESPN.com or Huffington Post or Fox News or CNN. Those image ads, those are called display banner ads, and you can run those through the Google Ads platform. If you're an e-commerce business, you can run shopping ads. So those are the ads that will show up. They show up on the Google search engine results page, and they have a picture of an image and a price, and you can click through them to shop and buy. That has an orange check mark because it does require additional setup work. You need to have something that's called a Google Merchant Center account that will link up your inventory and Google Ads. So Google will only show products that you have available at your store. And then you can run video ads. Video ads require a linked account as well. You'll need to have a YouTube account for those, and it will allow you to run little snippets of video ads. But what we're talking about today is search. And search is what I would recommend most businesses start with if you're looking to get into Google Ads. And let's talk about the marketing funnel here briefly. So I think most of you have probably heard of some version of this, whether or not you were marketing majors. Sometimes it's called the marketing funnel, sometimes it's called the customer journey. It's based on the idea that there's this, whole universe of people out there. Some of them are going to spend money with you and some aren't. And we're all in kind of like different stages of getting ready for that purchase event. So at the top of the funnel, we refer to that as the awareness stage, where a potential audience becomes exposed to a new product or new service or company. And then as someone moves down the funnel, they learn about the company and its products and services. They're conducting research. And at the bottom of the funnel is conversion, where a converted customer has decided, hey, you know what? I am going to buy from you. I'm coming out of the funnel. So when we talk about Google Ads and display and search, they're really suited for different types of the funnel. Display would be great for a business that has an awareness opportunity. Say it's a new business in a new market, and you want people to know that you're open. A display ad, you can see that on ESPN.com here in the bottom right, there's like a little ad for Vanguard in red, and there's also an ad for Goldbelly food delivery. Both of those image ads are display banner ads. So these show up on sites that aren't Google. They don't show up on like Facebook. Facebook controls its own advertising ecosystem. You can reach a lot of people. Very inexpensive per user. Think like half a cent every time one of these shows up. And they're designed to help create awareness. These are like billboards of the internet. Generally a low likelihood of customer action. Most people won't end up clicking through an ad and buying in that moment. Again, think of it like a billboard. And you pay for it based on how many impressions, how many times your ad shows up. Search, on the other hand, which you can see on the bottom right, these do show up on the Google search engine results page. Relatively low reach. The people who are seeing these ads are seeing them because we are bidding on a very specific set of keywords. So in this case, buy Goldbelly, you can see that that's triggering our search ad to show up. And it's a relatively high cost per user. And our goal here is to generate a conversion. We want someone to become a customer when they click through our search ad. Then there's a much higher likelihood of customer action. Somebody is sitting down to Google and ready to do some research. So we are, again, paying for the privilege to be there with the search results they see at the time that they're ready to make a decision. And we pay for this based on clicks. So here we are, Google Ads in the funnel, display advertising, upper funnel again, and search down at the bottom with relatively low reach, high cost per user. And we should be thinking about how can our ads, how can the words we're bidding on help to create a conversion? That's search. So this is some data from one Google's partners called WordStream, and showing the average cost per click across all industries is $2.69 for a search ad and about 63 cents for a display ad. So the costs are generally aligned with the kind of results we might expect to get. We're going to have to pay more for clicks on our search ads where we might get a conversion. And we can also see when we look at those search average cost per click, average CPCs, that the legal industry has a really high cost per click. $6.75, whereas advocacy has a lower one, $1.43. And that's because the value of the conversion tends to correlate with the cost that we're paying per click. So if a bunch of law firms are bidding on, I don't know, bankruptcy lawyer near me, that is going to correlate to a higher average sale for them than, say, somebody who is doing some advocacy work. So that cost, that value of the conversion translates through to the value that people are willing to bid on these keywords. Because with search, it really comes down to how much are you willing to bid on a keyword, on a search term, that when somebody searches for it, you're telling Google, I'm willing to spend up to $7 if somebody clicks on my ad after searching for that, or I'm only willing to spend $5. We'll talk a little bit more about bidding in a few slides. For now, we will talk about how a Google Ads account is structured. We'll talk about campaigns, ad groups, and keywords. And we'll do this, we'll go and look at an actual demo account right now. We're going to look at, this used to be a real business. They're no longer in business, but we can see them on the screen here. And we'll see their campaigns in the bottom left. This was a business that operated an indoor shooting range, and they also operated fitness training classes. So all of their keywords that when they were bidding on general shooting range type search terms were in that first campaign, and the other ones were in the where it says Sample Business Academy campaign. So let's take a look and go find this in Google Ads. All right. I might have to start my share again on this screen. Here we go. All right, so this is what the actual Google Ads platform looks like here. We're looking at Sample Business. When we first log in, we see this overview tab, and we see a whole bunch of different things that we can click to and navigate. Within a Google Ads account, an account is going to be like, you'll have an account if you open it for your business. A business would be like where the account is. Everything lives within that account shell. Within this light gray bar here, we're going to click to navigate into our campaigns. And that's where we can see we have number 1, general shooting range. Number 2, brand and competitive. In that campaign, we were bidding on our brand name and also some of our competitors' names. And the third campaign, Academy. So let's click into that. Now we're at that next level down in the account hierarchy. So the account being the entire business, campaigns being like major business units within the business. So these guys, again, they sell, they do these fitness classes, and they also do, they're trying to find customers who want to come to their gun range. So the gun range is one campaign that has one budget, and the academy here, that is another campaign that has its own budget. And with that, we see 3 different ad groups: functional fitness, self-defense, and jiu-jitsu. And the reason is those are the 3 main classes that they have trainers for and that they are looking, or were looking for, new customers for. And when we click into, say, the jiu-jitsu ad group, that's where we will see the keywords that they're bidding on. So you can see jiu-jitsu Pittsburgh, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu near me, just regular jiu-jitsu. If we go back, we go back up and say, let's go into self-defense, we'll see something very similar. Self-defense classes, self-defense near me, self-defense class Pittsburgh. So the way that these keywords are grouped together, they're grouped together in groups of related ad groups, and then those ad groups live within groups of related campaigns. And that is how Google Ads the account structure fits together. Now, there are different decisions we can make at different levels of the hierarchy. For example, if we want to figure out, hey, how much is our total budget? How much are we willing to spend in a day? That's a decision that we make at the campaign level. If we want to decide, where are we targeting this? Are we going to target all of Philadelphia? Are we going to target 10 miles around Temple? Are we going to target all of Pittsburgh? Are we going to target all of Pennsylvania, all of the United States? Those are decisions that we make at the campaign level. And that gets us to here, the second video. If that's something that you want to go a little bit deeper on, this is a long video, but we'll talk about 30 minutes, all of those different things that you can do at those different levels of the Google Ads account structure, how to use campaigns, ad groups, keywords, and ads. Now, speaking of ads, let's talk about what these ads actually look like. Now, this is taken from Google's own support article. And the three main elements of a search ad, you got your headline. You can fit up to 3 headlines in an ad of 30 characters each. What's called your display URL. So this is where you actually kind of can add some very targeted keyword language to your URL. It doesn't actually change which specific URL a user clicks through to, but it will just reinforce for someone, hey, this is something that you're looking for. We'll look at an example of this on the next slide. And then a description where you could have 2 description lines of up to 90 characters each. Here's what that looks like in the Google Ads platform. This is an ad for a 55 and up active living retirement community in New England. There's headline 1, 55 plus living in Oxford, Connecticut. And that's where that would show up on your ad. See the Meadowbrook community. There's the call to action, and that's where headline 2 would show up. And in green here, this is where we're showing those path fields. So meadowbrook.com is the website, and then we can just re-emphasize that this is for people that are looking for a 55 and up community in Oxford, Connecticut. And then down at the bottom in that yellow arrow, that's where the description shows up. Just a little bit more text to educate potential customers and help them decide, is this the kind of ad that I might want to click on? Now, what's new in 2022 is Google is taking some of the control away from us in terms of building ads. And Google has introduced something that's called responsive search ads. So instead of creating our own ads and lots of different versions of those to test what performs best, Google says, hey, why don't you just give me a whole bunch of headlines and a whole bunch of descriptions, and I'll assemble them together dynamically, and I'll let you know which one works best, and we'll just show that one the most often. So here's an ad. There's a headline right there for a Pittsburgh driveway paving company. Get a no obligation quote, Pittsburgh driveway paving. And you can see here in the bottom left, this is just a whole bunch of different headline options. We can submit up to 15, and Google is just going to pick them to assemble and figure out which combination works best. The same thing is true of this description here in green. So there's the headlines, and here's the descriptions where we can create up to 4 of them, and Google will pick 2 to combine with our headline and show an ad for us. So instead of us doing all this ourselves, Google's saying, I'm going to do it. And that's a big trend in 2022. It's really been happening for the last couple of years. It's just accelerating now that Google is taking more and more control away from advertisers and bringing it into Google. Now, on the one hand, that's not so good for us, but on the other hand, it can actually make it less time intensive for us to manage campaigns ourselves, because Google is, again, they're grabbing all that power for themselves. Brings us to YouTube video 3. If you are someone who's interested in learning more about ad extensions and text ads, this would be a video that I'd recommend considering checking out. And there'll be a link to that at the end. All right, let's talk about metrics and conversions. So when we're running a campaign in Google Ads, we're going to get a bunch of data. And how can we interpret that data? What is that data actually saying? What are these different metrics? And what is a conversion? So we're going to talk about briefly 4 base terms that all of the metrics are built off of. And then we'll go look at an actual example. So the first of those 4 base terms is an impression. An impression just means a search result or an ad shows up on a page. If your search ad shows up, Google's going to say, hey, that's an impression. And if for a search ad, you're not going to pay when it shows up. You're only going to pay if it gets clicked. And that gives us to number 2, a click. Pretty self-explanatory, right? So if the user clicks on your search result or your ad, that counts as a click, and then you pay. What's a conversion? So a conversion, if the person after they click on the ad takes an action that is valuable for your business, and you have said to Google, hey Google, when somebody does this thing, that's what makes me money, that's what I want, that's a conversion. So a conversion can be different depending on the business. If you have an e-commerce site, a completed purchase might be your conversion action. If you're a software company or any kind of lead generation company, you might want people who are submitting contact forms, say to talk to sales or to get a free consultation. That submission of the contact form can be your conversion, because that's how your website makes you money. That's how Google Ads makes you money. You can also register things like calls, because you can add a phone number to your Google Ads search ads, so that somebody who's on mobile can just click to call, and that can be tracked as a phone call conversion. Let's say you're a local nonprofit and you're just trying to build your donor base. Maybe a new email subscriber might be the conversion that you're looking for with your Google Ads campaign. It really is going to be different depending on the business, but the important thing is that you know what that conversion action is, because all of what you're thinking about with your Google Ads campaign should be geared towards trying to get those conversions. And then finally, cost. What is cost? It's just how much we pay. So if we were running display ads, which we're not talking about today, we would pay every time those ads show up. And if we're talking about search ads, which we are, we're going to pay on every click. So those 4 things: impression, click, conversion, cost, everything derives from these 4, with conversion again being really, really important. So let's look at an example search campaign. These are the primary metrics that we're going to see in Google Ads. This is actually taken out of the Google Ads platform. So we've got our impressions right there. There's our clicks, which Google refers to there as interactions, 2,957 clicks. There's our cost. We spent $8,509.33. And there is our count of conversions. Everything else is going to be a calculated metric off of those 4 base terms, including click-through rate, or CTR. Click-through rate is just clicks, our total number of clicks divided into our total number of impressions. What are the chances that each time our ad shows up that somebody's going to click on it? Cost per click. How much does each individual cost? How much does each individual click cost us? What is our CPC? The average cost advertiser pays. CPA, or cost per acquisition. That's our cost per conversion. So the cost for each time we get a conversion, whether it's that new submitted lead form, whether it's that completed sale, whether it's the new email subscriber, it is the cost that we're paying on average each time that happens. Conversion rate. That's the likelihood that a click will result in a conversion. So if we've got 100 clicks and 3 of them turn into new leads or new customers, 3% conversion rate. Total conversions and total clicks. I believe that for many, many search campaigns, understanding cost per acquisition is the most important metric. And that's because most business owners, we understand, hey, what's the value of a new customer to us? If the value of a new customer is $100 and let's say $100 gross margin, and we are paying $120 in Google Ads, then that's a great way to burn $20 for every new customer. But if a new customer is worth $100 in margin, we're able to generate them for $50 in Google Ads or $40, then the economics start to look a little bit different. It starts to become something that we have a positive expectation of profitability when we're running our ads. So let's get back to our metrics here. There's our interaction rate. That's our click-through rate, which is just we take those 2,957 clicks divided into the 43,696 impressions to the left of that. Our average cost, $2.88 a click. And our cost per conversion, $51.51. Many people, when they're running Google Ads, especially for the first time, have no idea what their cost per conversion is. So again, I think I've already belabored the point. I'll just belabor it one more time. Really, really important to keep your eye on that if you're going to be investing money in Google Ads, especially if it's a significant amount of money, to make sure it's profitable for you. All right, so let's go back to our demo campaign here briefly. And let's go. We'll kind of navigate all the way back from the beginning to get to where we were. Go from overview. And we'll look at all campaigns. We'll go to our academy, where we see functional fitness, self-defense and jujitsu. And this is going to be pretty small, but if you look right over here, where my mouse is, we'll see cost per conversion, where a jujitsu cost per conversion, $34.65. And a conversion for this business was either a phone call, somebody calls through an ad and it connects for at least 60 seconds, or somebody fills out a contact form to say, hey, I'd like to join your jujitsu class. So that's less than 35 bucks a conversion. We can see functional fitness is more than 4 times as much at $134.14 a conversion. So what does that mean? I mean, unless a functional fitness new client, new customer is that much more profitable than a jujitsu person, it's worth considering and talking with the business owner and saying, hey, maybe if we invest more of our money here in jujitsu, that's going to be overall more profitable for the business than trying to drive more efficient functional fitness conversions. We should try to do both, but we should really allocate more of our budget here where we can get those more efficient conversions. All right, keep rolling. That's YouTube video 4. If you want more about metrics, and again, you can see how I've emphasized cost per acquisition is an especially important metric. It's a video. All right, I had alluded to previously that when we are bidding on something in Google Ads, we're telling Google, hey, Google, I'm willing to spend $4 for a click on this, or $3 for a click on this search term. That's something that's called manual bidding, where we manually set those bids at every single keyword level. But we can also give Google something that are called, we can set up automated bidding. So what's the difference? With manual bidding, again, we choose a maximum that we're willing to pay for a click. That price goes into what's called the Google Ads auction that has a second price auction format. So a second price auction format simply means that you will never pay more than 1 cent higher than the next highest bidder. So if we want to bid on, say, jujitsu near me, you can see over on the right side of that, the max cost per click is $2. So if the next highest bidder was $1.50, according to the second price auction format, we could win that auction, have our ad show up first, and we would pay $1.51, 1 cent more than the next highest bidder. If all of the other bids are above $2, let's say everyone else is willing to spend $2.01 or more, our ad likely just won't show up. And Google will tell us if you set a bid that's not high enough to show, Google's happy to let you know, hey, you're not bidding enough here. Would love for you to spend a little bit more. So that is how manual bidding works. It can be very time intensive if you have a lot of keywords that you're bidding on, because people will change their bids, the people you're bidding against. So it might be something where once a week, probably once a week, that you're going in and looking at your bids and figuring out, are your ads still showing? Do you need to increase your bids? Is Google telling you your bid's not high enough? The alternative is something called automated bidding. With automated bidding, as advertisers, we give Google a strategic direction for a given campaign based on one of multiple automated bidding strategies. Google also calls this smart bidding. It's, I think, sometimes smart, sometimes not so smart. But with smart bidding or automated bidding, we give Google that top level strategic direction for how we want them to manage bids for a campaign. And then Google in real time is going to determine what should the price of the CPC bid actually be. And it may or may not outperform manual bidding. Personally, I actually do like automated bidding, but only certain automated bidding strategies can save a lot of time. And sometimes it can actually improve results as well. But it really depends on the bid strategy, and it's also worth testing. Within a Google Ads account, I mentioned there are different things that we can do at different levels of the account hierarchy. Setting our bid strategy is a decision we make at the campaign level. So within that big account level, campaign level is the next level down. That's where we set our bid strategy. And different campaigns can have different bid strategies. This is what Google says about automated bidding, the benefits of automated bidding. It's the best solution to efficiently account for all available signals to help improve performance. Man, some great Google propaganda there. So it uses Google's machine learning. It can save time. I totally agree that it can save time. Instead of manually changing your bids, Google will do it for you. Google sets those bids at auction time, which just means each time there's an eligible ad to show, Google's going to create what your bid is at that auction time. And Google will use a bunch of signals that it has and cross-analysis to make sure it's bidding efficiently. If you go through that Google training that I mentioned in the beginning, how to get certified, Google will test your knowledge here about automated bidding and say, what are some of the benefits of leveraging Google Ads automated bidding strategies? Select all that apply. Machine learning, check. Auction time bidding, check. Manual control, not check, because that is, again, the opposite of what what automated bidding does. It will not give you that manual control. I want to go through two more slides here, and then we're gonna stop because it's almost 12:45. See what questions we might have, but I'll just briefly talk about these different automated bidding strategies and why some I believe are very bad for search. So remember, we got the marketing funnel, and at the top we have awareness, where a potential audience initially becomes exposed to a new product, service, or company. Google has a bid strategy called target impression share, where you can just tell Google, hey, I want my ads to show up 85% of the time when anybody searches for something related to one of my keywords. That's a bid strategy that you can give to Google. I don't believe it's a good idea because the actual focus of the bid strategy is more aligned with something that might be an awareness goal, which is not going to be most efficient for search. At engagement, prospects learn more about the company and its products and services through research. Google has a bid strategy called maximize clicks, where you can just say, Google, hey, just get me as many clicks as you can get. I don't care what people do after they click. I just want them to click on my ad. Google is happy to find those people for you. But there are also conversion-focused bidding strategies where converted customers come out of the bottom of the funnel. There's a bid strategy called maximize conversions. Google, just get me as many conversions as possible. And my personal favorite, which is called target cost per acquisition, or target CPA, where you can actually give Google a target, say, Google, get me conversions, but I'm only willing to spend $60 a conversion, or 40 or 50. So then as Google manages those bids for you in real time, it's trying to have the math work out to get an average conversion at that price that you have set as your target cost per acquisition. And again, just to make it very, very clear, I'm not a big fan of target impression share or maximize clicks as a bid strategy. We'll just pop into Google Ads here for 1 minute, and we'll look at the campaign level where we have these different bids. So scrolling all the way over to the right. So we've got our 3 campaigns. And if you look all the way over to the right, we'll see bid strategy type. So the sample business for the Academy was actually manual CPC. So every one of those keywords, I was changing the bids manually. Whereas these other 2, you can see target cost per acquisition has been set as the bid strategy. If I wanted to change this, let's say I didn't want to go into my functional fitness ad group and change my max CPC from fitness class to, let's say, $3.32 wasn't high enough. I needed to make it $4.05 to show up. And I didn't want to continue to make all of those changes. I'd be able to go into the campaign settings. And under bidding here, we can change it to change our bid strategy. So that's yeah, I know kind of a lot more of I would say an advanced feature of Google Ads. But if that's something, again, that anybody is more interested in learning more about, got a 5th video on more about smart bidding explained. And yeah, interestingly, if you search for Google smart bidding strategies, you'll see there's the root and branch search result is showing up. This is not a paid search result in the red box. This is an organic search result for SEO, which again, that's something that we'll be talking about in May. So that's my last plug for that. So I'm going to stop myself now. It's 12:48. Let's do some questions. And then also, while that's coming in, if you guys would be willing to do me a big favor and share some feedback. I've got a really short survey here. I'd say the most important question, I think, is number 4, and it's about which of these things that we talked about today, and some we didn't, seem the most helpful for where you'd like to help, or if you knew more, it would be most beneficial for your business. And there might be some additional resources we can send your way after this class. All right, so I'm done. Garba, are there any questions?
Yes. We have a couple of, I think we have 3 from the Q&A and few from the chat box. So I don't know, which one would you prefer? I'm sure you can see the Q&A.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so let's do this.
Okay, so the first one, please, if possible, share a link to the recording. Okay, we can do that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Lenore had a question. I think that customers of the clothing retailer Free People might like the art that I sell. Is there a way to do a Google ad campaign that is shown only to those people? So yes and no. We can't, for example, put what would be called a retargeting pixel on the Free People website. That would be like the most accurate way to say somebody's been on the Free People website and we want to show our ads to them. You can do that for your own website, but we can't do it on other people's website. But you would be able to build something that's called a custom affinity audience in Google Ads, where you could tell Google, hey, people that are interested in the subject of this retailer, Free People, I think those people might also be interested in my art. So I'm going to create an audience to try to target those people. So yes, that is possible. Lenore also had a question. I heard another Google expert say that Google ranks your organic post higher if you are currently running a Google ad. My question is, I have a very small budget and these ads are really more than I can afford. If I run a very short, small ad campaign and then stop, will Google still favor my organic search ad after the campaign is over? Lenore, for that first part of that, I have also heard people say that Google will rank organic posts higher if you're running a Google search ad. Google denies that, and I have honestly never seen it to be true. So my personal perspective there would be, do not run Google ads just for the benefit of what might be there in Google organic search, because again, I'm not convinced that it's there. And yeah, it would be nice if it was, but I'm not convinced that works.
Okay, I think we will move down to the chat box. I can see a couple of questions coming up. And just a quick one before we actually continue. I just want to urge all our attendees that I just posted a 30-second survey about today's webinar. Remember, we at Temple SPDC, we always cherish your feedbacks, even as it helps us to improve on the services we provide to you guys at a low cost. So kindly take 30 seconds of your time to help us to fill out, the survey link I just posted. Zach, I think we have one from, I don't know if you can see it, from Laurie.
Okay. Oh yeah, great. I just pulled them all up. Oh, and I'm going to put the, hope this is okay. Just put that, that link in the chat as well.
Oh yeah, sure.
You guys are willing to fill that out. Okay. So let's go all the way up. So Jessica C asked, what is a good rate? So I'm not sure if that question is about like a good rate for like, how much should we pay Google, or how much should we pay someone else if we're looking for like a freelancer or an agency. But I'll answer both. I think if you're going to be using Google Ad search yourself, I think a budget of $100 a month is probably a minimum to be able to get a good read on whether or not it's going to work for you. Yeah, I would say the average that I see is typically maybe $500 to $1,000 for small businesses that are a little more established and have good results with Google Ads. But yeah, I think doing a budget of $100, you can target a small number of zip codes, or even like 2 or 3 mile radius around your building, if that's where you pull customers from. That would be a good test. And then in terms of how much to pay an agency or freelancer, it's going to depend on the size of the business and how advanced I would say you want your Google support person to be. There's an agency in Pittsburgh that I really like and trust. They start at $4,000 a month now for Google Ads management. So like way, like not in the realm of what's realistic for most businesses, but could be a really good idea for a business that's spending $50,000 to $100,000 a month in Google Ads. I would say the freelancers that I've seen kind of the least expensive might be like $200 a month. So in general, if your budget is $500 or less, I would say it's worth trying to learn it yourself, because just the economics aren't going to work out to pay someone $200 and then only give Google, $300. That's just giving way too much of your budget to somebody else. All right. Jessica C also asked, where are the links to the videos? They will be, Jessica, on the last slide that gets sent out when Garva sends out the deck. So that's where those are. Lori asked, will one of the sessions go over Google My Business or the Google Business Profile? Yeah, we will be talking about that. That we'll actually be talking about that in the next session. So today was about using Google's paid advertising platform. The next 2 are talking about how we can earn our way to the Google search engine results page through SEO. So part of session 2 will be that Google Business Profile. really, really important. So great question. Eve asked, do you have any resources for the other types of ads, display ads, shopping ads? I do have some, yeah. I would say maybe I'll send a link or two to Garba if you're maybe able to share that with the group, Garba. But also I have a very not super professionally done YouTube channel. It's pretty much like kind of like this talk today, but like clicking around in the platform for how to do certain things. So there's some videos there specifically about display ads. So if you check that out, if you just search for Root and Branch Digital Marketing on YouTube, you will find me. Charles says, I'm starting a business doing this very thing. I'm currently going through the Google certification process. However, my major issue is how to charge for my services. I know that it may require an in-depth answer. Can we link via email? We sure can, Charles. LinkedIn's like the best place to get me. If you shoot me a message there, that would be awesome. I'd be happy to talk more. In general, I would recommend, if you're going to be doing this, like setting a price floor of about $200 a month. I think lower than that, it's really hard to make money in a way that's efficient for your time and also provide value for your clients. And then depending on the types of clients you're working with, what their budget is and what their expectations are, that can go up to multiple hundreds. Again, if you are serving really, really large businesses in the future, it could be thousands of dollars. It's really going to depend on how much time you find that it takes you to do it well and what hourly rate you're trying to bill yourself for your time. But again, happy to talk more about that.
Zach, sorry to cut you in. I just wanted to make sure of something because someone was actually asking. Someone said, "Survey monkey from Survey monkey from not life link still." Was it the one you actually dropped on the Q&A?
What's the search?
Can you just read out what Langwi is saying? The second to the last statement on the chart.
Survey monkey form, not live link still. Ooh. Let's see. It should be. I go to that. Looks like it's working on this end, but maybe it just didn't pop through as like a clickable link. But I think if
because someone is still saying it's not clickable. Okay, I think what will happen is this. Let me just copy it and repost it to see if
maybe I can
now
make it as a link.
Yeah, I just reposted it now, so they should just try to click on it to see if it will go this time around. Oh, and they were like, they can't even copy it. And someone said it was working for me. Oh, I think it's working. The link worked for me.
Yeah, so for whatever reason, when we paste it in, it doesn't actually turn into a hyperlink. So I'm sorry about that. I think if you guys are able to like grab it from the left side and yeah. Francis, I'm sorry. Yeah, I actually don't know how to just make sure it's like super clickable, but it would just be surveymonkey.com/r/part1_feedback. But you know, if you're not able to, I understand. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. All right, let's see, maybe. So Jessica, just answer her question. Should we take that $100? So if you started with $100 Google Ads budget and divide that up into certain keywords besides zip codes. So yes, I would recommend having, I would think about like, I'm going to give you an example for a dermatology client that I have in 30 seconds and then I'll shut up. Their single best keyword is dermatologist near me. The second is Pittsburgh dermatology. So think about like what's kind of like the most basic search term that would be representative of someone who wants to come to your business. And I would just add a couple of those keywords, maybe 2 or 3 very narrow group of keywords in a narrow group of zip codes. And I would start with that. From there, if you decide to expand your budget, you can always add to it, but it's better to start more narrow and more focused rather than starting broad and less focused. All right, and Garva, it is 1 o'clock, so I don't want to go longer than I already have.
I understand. But just a quick one before we wrap it up for the day. I I actually got a couple of feedback that the first survey link I posted wasn't working. I am very sorry, my bad. I just reposted a new one now, and I'm sure this one should be working. And but aside that, you guys will still get the survey link from the follow-up emails I will be sending to you later on today or first thing tomorrow in the morning. But like I said, before we wrap it up, I just want to thank each and every one of you guys for keeping it a day with us. Zach, thank you so much. I love the way the presentation actually flowed, and I love all the questions that actually came up on board. And finally, just want to thank my wonderful SPDC colleagues for their usual support for making it possible for this webinar to come into existence. And without further ado, we will wrap it up for the day. Thank you, everyone, and do have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.